Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman.
Hmm.
I am the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk. Welcome back to the studio. Again, my name is Jay. I'm the host of the show. And I want to take a moment here to introduce my co-host this evening and a special guest. Dr. Loren is in the top shelf with me. He is known as the host of Bathrobe Moments TV show. And that name may ring a bell. Why? Well, Doc, it may ring a bell because it wasn't too long ago that I was a guest on your show, Doc.
Yes.
And you put me in a hot seat a few times, and I decided to reciprocate the honor of inviting you into Real Men Real Talk Live, and
Good.
perhaps put you in the hot seat.
Well, come on with it there. Run it.
So
Right.
here we are. We got Dr. Loren joining us from the windy city of Chicago. Welcome to Real Men Real Talk Live. What an honor! And of course, we have Kaimalu joining us tonight, coming in from one of the islands over in the islands of Hawaii. Welcome back, Kaimalu.
Pleasure to be here, my friend, as always.
And we have the honor of welcoming back, after taking a bit of a hiatus in season 4, Avery, back to Real Men Real Talk Live. You were missed big time, Avery. For some of you that may not know, Avery had to work through some stuff in his personal life, and when it was appropriate for him to come back, you know what he said to me? He said, "Yes, yes, yes." And so, Avery, welcome back. Welcome home, brother. Welcome back to Real Men Real Talk.
Thank you guys so much. It's good to be back.
Well, as we are about to jump into the show tonight, what I want to do also is welcome our guests. Thank you, viewers and guests, for joining us this evening. If you should have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them down into your comment section, and we'll do our best to acknowledge and comment or respond to as many questions you may have. Tonight's episode is episode 203. And tonight's topic is all about living beyond your scars, how trauma is definitive proof you have been marked for greatness. Where did this topic come from? Well, Dr. Loren came from you. And so without further ado, what I'd like to do is invite you to kick us off, get us hot, light us up, and get us going. What was this topic mean for you? Because we are coming in I'm kind of coming in. I can't speak for Kaimalu or Avery, but I'm kind of coming in with a little bit of a question like, wow, where are we going to go with this topic? So get us hot, light us up, and tell us what does this mean for you, my friend?
Okay. Well, great. Thanks for having me. First of all, nice to meet you guys downstairs. And for all of you out there, I'm excited to share this. It was my hottest topic on the stages last year. It was my hottest topic on the stages the year before, because that's when I debuted it. And I had been attempting to switch from the keynote that I've been using for the last 5 or 6 years. I refer to it as my bread and butter one, get you paid. But then it was time to grow outside of my comfortable spots. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't get through. I just couldn't get the keynote together. See, I don't go to work. I try to stay and live within the work, because going to work was back when I used to work for other people and it was what I was paid for. Now I pay myself, and it has nothing to do with money. It's about what I was made for. So that's why when it's time to grow, something shows up so that because it's time to grow. And the minute you put those two together, look what you get. Prayer hands, which means you're doing the right thing in this world. And therefore, people will add their prayers to your journey, because you give them something that is memorable, meaning that it's something that is repeatable. And that's how legacy is grounded so that your voices and all the work you have done in this world can echo down the hallways of history for thousands of years. And that is, I know that to be true. So I was trying to get my message across via the largest screen in the universe, which is our imagination, by drawing pictures and moving story through imagery. And the topic was purpose. And it just my come to Jesus moment, that altar call at the end of every one of those presentations that we do to, change lives and facilitate healing and the easing of suffering. It just wouldn't come together. It just wouldn't come together. And so I had it down, and I ascribe to everything greater than me. I tell people all the time, you put me in a dark room with 50 roaches, turn the light off and promise a car from Oprah and $1 million to whoever moves the quickest first, I'll be the last one to get any of that, because in that particular case, everything in that room is going to move quicker than me. So that makes them greater than me in that particular circumstance. And so I don't want to miss anything. I've never considered myself the brightest bulb. As a matter of fact, until a few years ago when I was honored with an honorary doctorate, I was just another kid out of foster care with a 12th grade education and a whole lot of road in between then and now. And so purpose was so important to me. And then this thing about trauma, woo, I shut them down when I threw that out there. I'm just keeping it real about how trauma, I love me some trauma, love it. And so that's kind of how it got out there. And when I changed purpose into something people could see, living beyond our scars, the first thing I love about it is when I walk on a stand up with 30 people or 3,000, I say, raise your hand if you have at least one scar somewhere on your body. Every single hand goes up. And I'll say, stand up in case. I just want to make sure I miss somebody. Nobody stands up. And when you pictured that scar just now, how many of you know the story now that goes with that scar? Every hand goes up. So instantly, if nothing else, it is something that brings every person in the room within proximity of, we're more similar than we thought. We're on the same page at the same moment. And we just got there. So now it's like, let's go. You're right here. Because they're looking around and going, oh my God, I never thought of it like that. Whenever you can do that, now you're transforming. Now you're inspiring. And I never wanted to be a motivational speaker because they pretty much nothing against them. But it's really just a reminder of things people already are aware of. And like I've watched some of your episodes, and I know you're big on inspiring people to think outside of what they already know. And so purpose is the people mover in this universe. We get buzzed in that door over to the left to start this, and we're going to get buzzed out of the door over there on the right when we're done here. But what everybody's going to see when you get to the other side and they roll that beautiful beam footage, they're going to want to see what you did between those two doors. And that is, did you fulfill your life's purpose?
I'm taking a moment here just to have silence, a pause. Sometimes pause is beneficial. Sometimes it gives us a moment to just process. Mm-hmm. But Avery, you're shaking your head. So what did you hear in what Dr. Loren had to share? What did you hear as it relates to your own journey in life? Have you embraced your own scars to find greatness, or are you still in that journey of sorts?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot to consume, and there's a lot of just good stuff that was just said, Doc. And I think one thing that I've learned throughout my journey and my moments of trying to, find myself and get out of my dark alley was to not be afraid of my trauma or let my trauma hold me back, but to actually embrace it, learn from it, grow from it, and be more powerful from it. Things that I've noticed, the scars that I wear, I used to not wear them as a badge of honor, but as a mark of my failures, of how I have not, allow situations, people, things come to my life and put these scars on me. But one thing I have learned, and just this life, this journey I'm going through, that all the scars I have on me and I continue to develop on me has made me a stronger person, a stronger man. Um, Able to understand what I'm willing to accept and not to accept. It's able to make me think critically, made me to pause. You know, Jay, as you say, I think it's wonderful that in life sometimes you just need to pause and just absorb what's coming around you, whether that's good or bad, positive or negative,
Mm.
and just not let those scars, hold you back. Not define you in a sense where like, hey, you know, because of these scars, I'm unable to, proceed or move forward in life. But to use those scars as a learning experience, as I have, these past few months that I've been away, I've developed some very recently new scars. But with these new scars, I've learned to grow tremendously. My whole outlook in life is different. The way how I carry myself is different. I don't allow things to enter my life as much as I used to before because I let the scars define me and tell me who I was, and versus like letting these scars say like, "Hey, learn from these, Avery." Like, yes, these are very traumatic, but it's a place for you to start learning who you really are, what you're willing to accept in your life, how you're willing to grow from it. Um, and honestly, Jay, it's been a very wonderful experience, both the negative and the positive, to just know that because of these scars and these traumas that I've enveloped, I'm able to come out stronger. I'm able to just have more clarity. And honestly, I'm able to get back into things that I thought I would never get back into. I'm getting back into my creative outlooks. I'm walking more with a smile on my face, and not because someone's telling me to smile, but because I actually just enjoy smiling a lot more. There's just a lot in my life now that has just tremendously changed because I realize that my scars are not there to hold me back, but to help me learn and grow and develop as a human being. So,
Hmm. Well said, my friend.
Wow. Wow. Welcome home, brother. Welcome back.
thank you.
Avery, Kaimalu, I should say. What are you making? What did you hear Dr. Loren say, as well as anything you'd like to piggyback off of Avery?
Yeah, hit it on the nail, really. Avery spoke to this beautifully just now of how every opportunity that we define as traumatic has the capacity or the ability to serve double duty. And it depends on how we look at it. Are we going to view it as an opportunity for growth and for betterment? Or are we going to look at it as something else weighing on us? And life is full of that all the time. I've been experiencing it recently too, my friend. But what I heard Dr. Loren talk about with purpose, I think that trauma has the capacity to become one's purpose if they use it in the right way. Like as a musician and knowing so many other musicians and just artists in general, art is one of those things where it's the fully encompassed human experience. And so using things that have been traumatic and creating something beautiful out of it, I think is a really beautiful thing to do with one's trauma. And those kind of moments and that kind of work helps to remind us that we don't go through these things alone.
I love that, Kaimalu. One thing that I've learned in my own journey. Well, before we go there, I want to just acknowledge Sophia from LinkedIn. She says, trauma can make or break us depending on our chosen perspective. And this ties into what I want to share. We always have a choice. We get to either embrace the scar or scars that hold us back. We live in blame, the blame game, and we point the finger. But as long as we're pointing a finger that way and blaming other people for the trauma that we got or the scars that we got from the trauma, we're not taking accountability. And what I mean by that is that taking accountability is first and foremost acknowledging that that stuff happened, that that gunk happened, that it went down. It's real. It's our reality. But what we do with it makes all the difference in the world. It either keeps us playing small in life or we ascend to what we call greatness in life. And it's all about mindset. Mindset is understanding and embracing this truth, as Dr. Loren has expressed in his own words, which is we can live in pain or feel the pain. But when we feel the pain, we can heal it. We can embrace asking this question: what was this here to teach me? What are the lessons that I needed to learn from this trauma, from this scar? And when we're willing to ring the bell and take accountability and say, you know what, that does not no longer has to define who I am, but instead I can honor that I had that experience, then utilize that experience to climb, to grow, to learn, and then share your wisdom from the trauma or from the scars with others that are ready to embrace their own healing journey. I want to emphasize one thing here, Doc, is that scars and trauma doesn't always have to come from our childhood.
No.
We experience it in our adulthood as well. It's called being relational. I just froze. I'm dancing in the back. There I am dancing, but I was frozen in the moment there. But yeah.
I'm sorry we missed the dancing Jerry.
Oh man. All I can tell you is that, some people do everything to hide their wisdom, what we call wisdom lines in our face. Others are open to honor those lines as wisdom lines, meaning that through those lines, we grow, we learn. Only when we ask the most important question, which is, what are the lessons from this experience? What are the lessons from this scar, from this trauma that I can embrace? And through that question, we will get clarity if we're open to receive it. What do you make of that, Doc? What's on your mind right now? What are you feeling?
Well, first of all, I have to go here. I like some of it. Some of it I love. Some of it on the cutting room floor for me. Only because we all get to see what we need. And it doesn't mean anything you said isn't useful. It's just different. And, because everything you say, everything we say, everything we see in our world started on that screen of imagination. Everything you can touch. And all of this ties together. What I love about trauma is because, see, what you were, I remember at the beginning, I've referenced people mover. Because to me, trauma for me, and the way I'm chosen to see it and teach it is from a place where it is like a launch pad. And first of all, going into it, I must establish that it is the duality that it keeps us moving in this universe. Up, down, hot, cold, right, left, and the rest of them. So that means to me, no matter what I'm dealing with, first of all, I got to remember it's never about just one thing. And I also believe that the universe, what is working, everything, because I have dominion, everything that can't speak works for me. Period. Except other people, I can't use that power like that over there because we're not above or below. We're not in front or behind. We all speak. That means we are one. We are supposed to lock arms, not compete with each other. I compete with only time because time has whooped every ass that has ever walked this earth. And that's the truth. So that's why the movement part is so important to me, because a lot of people get stuck in trauma. victims, martyrs, all these things. Victimhood. I'm stuck. Well, get on the people mover. Trauma is a surfboard for me. The moment I tell children, every place I go.
Hold on. I need to repeat that. I want to repeat that. You just said trauma is a surfboard for me. Tell me more. What does that mean?
It gets me to places that weren't on the map. See, when a person gets on a surfboard, they ride it. The thing is to stay balanced and to focus. They're not looking, turn right. I mean, they move, but they're moving because they want to stay on, not because I'm trying to go over there. See, that's because in that direction, I'm shooting for the beach and I'm learning surrender. But when I get off the surfboard and it's back to what my heart desires and what I throw up on that screen known as my imagination, I can still stay on the beach or I can shoot for what's beyond it. And that's called the horizon. And so I know for a fact, for instance, Avery, when you said, I wrote it down, you said a lot. That's a big one. All my mistakes. There are no mistakes. This universe does not create anything that is a mistake. It is purposeful, and it's just their way of making and keeping our shit interesting. That's all it is. That's all it is. Who wants a flat line? Smooth sailing. That's flat line. No up and down is proof there is no life, that there is none. And every time somebody or something is brought back to life, what direction does the body lurch first? Up. Everything is up. So I choose that. And when I need a reminder of how sweet the climb has been, I find myself down where I work. This is where I work. All of us that heal people and help people, I believe in low-hanging fruit so that it meets people wherever they're at. I have been there where I could not even open my mouth for that fruit, but it was the aroma, the sweet, sweet spirit, like Christians say, that is in this place that made me believe just from smelling it within proximity, gave me hope.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Avery, what you have anything that you want to jump on or add to that, or what'd you hear in that?
I actually want to add on from what both you, Dr. Loren, said, and Jay, you have said. Two words that stuck out to me that's really been a huge process in my journey. One of them is accountability, and the other one is playing the victim. One thing I've learned about my scars, and thank you for correcting me, Dr. Loren, you're right. I have not made any mistakes. Life is a journey.
That's right.
But one thing I have learned when reflecting back on my trauma and the scars I've developed is I will play the victim and not take accountability for the actions that may have folded from receiving these scars. With a lot of the situations that I've been in that has developed my trauma, the universe will always show you a light and show you a passage of saying like, hey, listen, this may not be the direction you want to go. I'm gonna let you go there, but I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you right now. You're gonna go through a battle and it's gonna hurt. I'm not gonna tell you not to do it. You're gonna figure it out on your own, and when you come from it, you're gonna be stronger. But what I recommend is you learn from it, don't be a victim of it, embrace it, and grow from it. And recently during my journey, I've learned to take accountability for the scars I received and to no longer play the victim. In one situation, definitely we'll go into detail, but I've learned to let go of, this person really did damage to me. They really, brought me to a dark place, and I became numb and I became someone different, and just completely out of my element. And I, kept, not in a sense bullying them about or reminding them that what they've done, but just essentially leaving that scar hovering over their head as well. So not only was I dealing with that scar, but I was making them deal with that scar too. Like, you did this to me, like, this is your fault. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that to that person. I can't do that to myself. Yes, what they did, it caused deep wounds, but for me to continue putting that over them is not fair, especially when they're on their own journey, their own growth, as well as I'm on my own. So I had to learn to stop playing the victim, and I had to learn to take accountability. And when I stopped playing the victim, my whole world shifted. I no longer was like, when I look at this person, I'm like, I hate this person. You know, they've done so much damage. I look at them, I'm like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. You were in a path in your life that have caused a certain destruction that, you know, hindered me. But I must realize that I'm not going to allow myself to keep playing the victim and just keep moving forward, because I have so much more to offer than just to sitting in this space where I'm just blaming everybody and not accepting my own accountability.
Can I butt in? I'm dying. I'm serious. Can I butt? Because I got to respond to you while the essence is still in the air. Before any of this lands anywhere, I want to get underneath it. So I'm going to say this to you. Pay attention to yourself. Pay more attention to yourself. Your own answers come out right after you begin. Your own answers come out. You said receiving these scars. But see, the thing about it is, you also need to finish the sentence. The receiving of these scars means I receive everything that comes with it. Get your full jug, your full inheritance. Get it all. That's why not staying there is important. It is a mile marker, but it is not a shrine. Victims have to be the victim as a result of some kind of a crime or some type of a, you know, it's a negative, or, you know, or accident victim, but nothing about this is accident or accidental. It is all within purpose. So you can cross that off. It's a wash. But I'm going to tell you something, and this is important. Know this. When you start looking at your trauma, like trauma doesn't provide those experiences because the universe doesn't believe that we are capable of executing certain things. These things happen so that the universe can push us into the self-realization that we are capable of executing everything. Everything. So when you know, then it's working for me. I know that's that cliche. Oh, it's not working against me. It's working for me, but it's true. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hold on 1 second, Doc. You know, you make it sound so freaking easy.
It is.
Let me tell you.
Always is.
No. When you're in the throes of the trauma, what feels like trauma, there's nothing easy about that moment, that season. It's my experience.
That's because you can't call the game until the game is at least within the quarter is finished. Trauma is also the eye of the storm, because that is when you are calling on all those things that are places. None of them are things, and everybody spends their journey trying to accrue things. I am who I am because of what I can tally and say these are the things. You get to that last room, you got 5 ex-wives, 10 kids, 3 houses, 14 degrees, 5 hit books, millions and millions of dollars, all things you can count and touch. But then at the last second, you reach around and you remember, oh, Lord, I didn't bring anything I can feel. Faith is not a thing. It's a place. Joy is not a thing. It's a place. These are all the things that trauma gets you to, because when you're in the middle of it, the calmest place is in the eye of the storm. It's always going to be building around you. But when you know why you're in the eye, you are in the center. Everything is working for you. Magic. Nothing else.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Doc.
Yeah.
Kaimalu, thoughts, words?
Yeah.
What are you feeling, man? What are you hearing? Kaimalu, what are you hearing, brother?
I'm hearing a lot of truth being dropped, man. And it's just so fitting to everything you and I spoke about on the phone earlier, Jay. Like, every single moment is an opportunity to define myself based on who I am in relationship to this moment.
Yes.
And when you embody that premise, that knowing, that truth, that everything is working out for me, every moment is an opportunity. And when you actually know that in your bones, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to worry about. There's something to stress over.
Right.
And that's the peace of God right there that everybody's looking for through all the vices, through the alcohol, through the sex, through the binge eating, all those things. It's that knowing and that understanding right there, because that's what sets you free.
Say that again. What sets you free?
All of that.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
All of that. Now, can I say something to you right now? I'm just going to throw this over to you because you have an anointing. You have an anointing in the fact that you are blessed with what is known as excited utterance. I had this thing in my hand prepared to ring that bell before you were halfway into what you just shared with us, because it had that frequency. The law, everything was working. The law of attraction, everything, it was pouring. You see, you were giving overflow. It's our cup runneth over, not ever runneth out. You see, and I'm just letting you know that is something your soul came wrapped in. That's like a baby onesie. You know, you came with that. You see, yes, no one can ever duplicate that. It's just amazing. Just amazing.
Yes. And that's something I want to iterate too, Jay, is like when it feels challenging in the moment when we're in it, but that's only because we've been taught to believe that it is. If we actually know, not up here, not as an intellectual concept, but actually know the truth of our soul, it becomes an opportunity, and you can feel that shift. I recently had a moment to be in accountability with a mistake, a poor choice that I made, but it was a learning opportunity. And it shifted for me when I stopped looking at it as a mistake that I had to come and like beg for forgiveness for. And I came to it from excitement to actually be accountable to myself, to the person who felt wronged by what I did, and to God. And the peace that came from that, even though my ego really struggled with it in the moment, the peace that came from that was so far beyond what I would have, anything my ego could come up with, anything my mind could conjure. And when those moments, when we're excited to step into those moments, there's so much juice there. So much juice.
I love that. I love that, Kaimalu. You know what I love right now? I love each one of you men. I literally,
I love you too, Jay.
I'm receiving private texts right now off the show from a few people that is like, this is an amazing show tonight. Thank you. It's just what I needed to hear. So Dr. Loren, I want to acknowledge you and thank you for that. I want to pivot here. I want to switch gears. I want to bring up one of our viewers who's been with us, I think, since the beginning of time. I want to, first of all, acknowledge and thank Kristen Carabello, who's a beautiful friend of mine from a distance. And what she says here is, I have some open wounds that haven't scarred over yet. However, I'm proud of what that scar will be, proud of who I am, and taking a stand. Who wants to take a crack at opening this one right up for Kristen?
If I could, because it's not more coming through than from. So that really wasn't me butting in. So I'm just saying, Kristen, this is an important piece right here, because know this, you are not alone. But when you spoke, you turned the mirror on an open wound, which equals vulnerability, which equals transparency, the groundwork, the grout that is hanging all of the spiritual flypaper. Now you would think, how can grout and spirit and flypaper go together? Because this is the world of magical possibilities. So everything there, and pay close attention to how you talk about it. I have some open wounds. You're not minimalizing. You're not cutting and discounting. You're not cutting corners. You're putting it out there. Now, haven't scarred over yet. Hope. I believe you haven't given up. However, now you find it's more than one thing. I said it earlier. I'm proud. Stand up straight. See, that's why some people go, look, I got this one in Nam. Oh, a boar rammed me here. Where other people button up and hide, and they're fearful that people will see because it came from a burning ember or a burning word. Because not all these scars can be seen on the outside. But if you want to work your way to the ooey gooey chewy center, you need to get past that candy-coated hard shell first. That's just the way it is. So know you are on the right track, and you're already over it. You're talking about standing. All your own clues are right there, and you just spoke it. You just spoke that all over your world. Watch what happens.
Meaning when she says, proud of who I am and taking a stand? Okay.
Yeah. See, that's the thing right there. That's the thing about trauma. I am telling you, experience is a force of nature. Everything you are within is because we are here to create and live and share multi-dimensional experience. It is not, there's nothing like it. When things start being manifested that you could have never manifested for yourself, when you see things that you know are literally grouting down the tiles of everything you lived through, and you see the shell start going across that tunnel, that place where people are going to walk through for thousands of years, and every time they walk through and tell a story, it won't be that they see your face or even recognize your name, but it is the truth of the story you left that will carry them all the way through. No, you can be 25 lifetimes from now, and there's going to be some kind of a Roman candle sign somewhere in the universe to let you know somebody just picked up something you left behind 25 lifetimes ago. And you can just marvel. It's still, why? Because the truth is the only thing that can never be broken. It can never be changed. You leave the truth, it will be there forever. We all can be legends.
Here's a question I have. Doc, I'm going to challenge you in the most loving way I can.
Take your time, because it won't be easy.
We are all story creators and storytellers.
Yeah.
We create stories that we feel is the truth. How do we decipher when it's just a story and it's not the truth?
Because anything that is true to you, anything that is real to you is real. It is true. You know, we don't, I just said, multi-dimensional. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean you don't. Everything we touch, somebody saw it on that imagination screen, and here it is. Pick up something you created. A book, anything. It wasn't here until you put it up on that screen. Everything you decide will be here works in your favor. Somebody, you mentioned it earlier, I think it was you, Avery, about you know, when you want the alchemist, everything in the universe will conspire to help you get what you want. You know what I'm saying? But remember, and that's why you got to keep moving on that people mover too, and not get stuck in the trauma, stay in the center of it, and you're not stuck. Everything's moving around you. So that's right there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. So here's where we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears one more time on all three of you men. Here's the next challenge. What are the steps to step into the scars, to turn the scars, I should say? Let me rephrase that. What are the steps to turn the scars into greatness?
Trick question. You can't turn the scars into greatness. The scars are there to remind you of your own.
Wow.
You don't have to turn into greatness. You woke up that way.
Beyonce, you woke up.
You see what I'm saying? Right. Everything you already are is waiting for you when you wake up. I am great. I am strong. I am bold. Now the thing is to seek and find a way to get an E and an R. I don't need 26 letters anymore. I'm just looking for 2. They work in both directions. ER, tonight I can go to sleep after the day. I did this. I stood up for this. I did it out of love. I am bolder. Ooh, that cart got away from that woman. She couldn't get to it. Was going to hit that new car. But I dropped my groceries and I went over and I grabbed it. I was nice. But right now, because of that memory, I am nicer. And when I go to sleep, when inside my temple, my sacred space, everything still is working for me. So when I wake up, even that E and that R, they done flip themselves around. And I'm waking up with an R and an E saying, come on in here. Come into today. You will be refreshed, revived, replenished, renewed, remembered to who you are and why you're doing it in the first place. With that on loop, how can you lose?
So here's Jazz Star, who's been such a beautiful friend of mine that we've only met through social media, but she's been in my life for some time now. I want to acknowledge you, Jazz, and thank you for being here tonight. And this is what she says. Perfectly Scars stated. Are there to bring you to the next level.
Perfectly stated. People moving.
I love it.
Get you.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm so excited. You got some great people watching this show.
Thank you.
You know. And what I just want to say, can I just say something real now? Real to all of you listening.
Only if it's Real Men, Real Talk Live.
All
Is
of
it real?
You know, we could have all been anywhere in this universe. We could have been anywhere. but a lot of twists and turns. Went through everybody's everything to get us all here in this at this time in history, in this brief moment in history together. I always ask myself when I come in, what gift have you brought me? Why are you showing up right now in my life? What are you? Who are you? What lessons do you have for me? You know, what divine memory, or I don't have just friends anymore because of this mindset. I have blessed friends. I don't create just fond memories anymore. They're all divine memories. And I don't just sit anywhere and just take up any kind of space anymore. It's always sacred space. And it brings me more of what I bring. And when you connect it all together, everybody wins. Awesome.
Kaimalu, I got a question for you, Kaimalu.
Yes. I have an answer.
Uh-oh.
What are you making of this conversation tonight? What are you hearing?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's the truth of life, man.
I'm going to rephrase the question. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot of energy in my chest area right now. It's like that expansive, like breaking through kind of feeling when it's like cracking out of the shell. That's what I'm experiencing right now.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta say it.
Please
say it. Say
No,
it.
wait.
Say
Okay.
it like you mean it.
So just know this. You see how long it took you? You weren't willing to take any old turd and throw it against the wall and hope that it would explain what you were feeling. See, that is respect for the magic. That is respect. That's just, you have to, I call it, well, whatever you want to call it. I would say this, everybody ought to have one experience. That's what you just saw. Everybody ought to have one. But then, guess what you said? It was kind of, let me tell you, what you were inside of ain't never kind of anything. Kind of would mean 99.999. No, it is beyond 100%. It is beyond it. We're talking horizon. See what I'm saying? That's why it stopped you and held you. You were in the eye. That's the best place to be. Everything is moving for you. That's what that whipping is. That's the beautiful thing about the Wizard of Oz story. You know, boom. She lands and she grabs her prized possessions and moves through cautiously looking. That's a search. Hits that front door before she steps into Technicolor. She backs up and says, because it's of service, after you. And the camera comes rushing through and we go in before she does. See, it's all there. And I just, what I've seen here tonight is really something extraordinary. I didn't expect it, but then I did. You see what I'm saying? It's like this. When I go to wherever I go, if I'm going to speak or I'm going to wherever I'm going, grocery store, I always say, because experience is a force of nature. So I ask the universe for this, without being too specific, but playing the game and surrendering together all at once. All I want is one of these. How about two of those? And would you trust me with three of the others? And then when after the experience, I just put everything in its category. Oh, look, there's my one of these. There's my two of the others. You see? And then I always get what I need, not always what I want.
That was the point that came up for me earlier too.
Yeah.
Well, God, the universe, call it what you will, works in mysterious ways.
Amen.
And one thing that I've learned is that when you ask for something, you ask for patience, you're going to be challenged to be patient. And so that's the flip script right there, as opposed to why is this happening to me? Sometimes we even ask for it. Like, God, please help me be more patient. Okay, and here's a bunch of opportunities for you to learn how to do that. God, help me be stronger. Here's a bunch of opportunities for me to flex that spiritual muscle. You know, we're in the spiritual gym and it's bulking season. If you really want to
Mm,
grow, you got to do it.
mm.
Here's the thing now. How often are we asking for that? It happens when it happens. And what I'm talking about is the scarring or the trauma. Now, here's a question I have for you. Whoever wants to jump on it. Can you have trauma without a scar? Or will a trauma always lead to a scar?
What do you mean by a scar?
Doc, what do you mean by a scar?
I'll say that. Well, a scar is they're you know what they are? They're markers.
Mm-hmm.
Markers.
They're distance markers.
Mm.
For instance, I'll give you an example. This one on my finger. I was 9 years old. It was 6 weeks after this. That woman who I thought was my mother fell dead on the floor. And then they came in and said, "You're not Larry Dixon. You were illegally adopted." That's how they were nice about you were stolen from the hospital. From the hospital, moments after I was born, the woman took me, go clean me up, walked out the door. My mother didn't see me for the next 32 years. Now that's trauma. That opened up things. And then when she died and when I was 9, here comes the state telling me that. I'm like, what? I thought everybody didn't have any pictures of them ever around. I didn't know it was because I was in hiding. But what I thought was a curse ended up being my blessing. Because within it was my story. It was my story. And so it's a marker. This was the last time that Larry, this was to remind Loren of 62 that it was Larry of 9 that took the very first stripes that you were aware of. You owe him some healing. So go back there and show him a glimpse of why it was so important. And he will bless you and add his prayers to the full journey of every version of you. So that when you walk out the door that's buzzing you into what is next, you take every version of yourself and its history with you. And you leave every version of yourself and your history here.
Beautiful. Love that.
You know, you just got to do it.
I got a question for whoever wants to jump on this. Perhaps Avery. Can you go through trauma with grace? Is that possible? From your experience as a man.
Trauma with grace. Trauma with grace.
Based on your own experience. That's all that matters right now. This is about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going back through my lifespan and thinking about the traumas and trauma with grace. You know, I feel like, yes, I feel you can go through trauma with grace. And you know, there's been moments in my life, you know, where I've taken a step back, taken a pause while being in the eye of the storm, as Dr. Loren said, and really understanding where I'm at right now as far as what's happening, what's developing this trauma, what's developing this mental load in my head that's causing me to spiral. And during those moments, I've dug deep in myself. You know, I've learned from my past history. I've learned from, you know, my past scars or past traumas, and learn how to walk through this moment in my life, this moment of trauma in my life, in a way that I can just gracefully grow from it. And I think for me, when it means for, you know, going through trauma with grace, to me, I feel like it means I'm able to not only recognize what's happening, but to grow from said trauma that I'm going through right now, or during that situation. Because what's happening during this moment of understanding the mental load that's being brought on to me, and you know, the calling of the universe, you know, guiding me in this trauma, because for me, what I feel is I've, and I think something, Kai, you touched on it, Dr. Loren, you touched on it as well. We ask the universe for things. We ask the universe for patience, for strength, all these things. And because of that, we may go through certain situations that we can gracefully get out of, because it's what we were asking for. We were asking for those moments for us to be strong. We were asking for those moments to be patient. We were asking for those moments to whatever we wanted to be called on. And because of that, we may land through some trauma through that process. But for me, it's when I look back and I say, like, oh yeah, I did ask that I wanted to be, more patient, and you answered, universe, thank you. So I will gracefully accept this process.
Can I say something here, Jay?
No.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Kaimalu, I can't believe you asked me for permission. Have you ever asked me for permission on the show before? We just have a moment of history right here, right now, being made on Real Men Real Talk Live. It's the first time that I've been asked for permission. Do me a favor.
Okay.
Just
I'm happy to be your first.
Just talk, brother. Open it up. Crack us wide open. What do you got?
Yeah, man. I would say, of course, we can handle trauma gracefully. And it all comes down to a difference of our belief in relationship to it. And instead of viewing these things as, oh no, this thing happened to me, instead rejoice and be like, oh my goodness, this thing happened. Now look what I can do with it. And it all comes from a difference of definition, because growing up, we were told, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And that was an idea that was put in us. And as long as we're filtering our trauma through that lens of, oh no, this thing happened to me, instead of this thing happened for me, as Dr. Loren said, the pronoia attitude, then it's going to be a burden to bear.
I got it.
100.
We have about 8 minutes to the hour. What I want to invite each one of us to do is take a minute or two to give our closing thoughts. And I will give my closing thoughts tonight. So stick around, because I'm going to make a pretty significant share what's happening in my personal life right now, which feels like as much trauma as you can ever go through in your lifetime. So who wants to kick us off with closing thoughts?
Let's bookend. Since you'll go last, I'll go first, and we'll let the chaps, the youngins, go in the middle. So, first,
you got that right, brother.
Right. Thanks for everything. I'm so grateful, because I'm looking at it on the page, and I've never seen the configuration of these words together. So I know I'm being poured into in a big, big way right now. So it was interesting when you both answered about grace, because the first place I was escorted to. So clearly I needed some help to get there. No surprise there.
Welcome home.
But I'll tell you this. My thing for the grace was this. It wasn't about me not dipping and looking all sturdy while I was moving through my trauma. Because I was supposed to stumble. I was supposed to bend. I was supposed to dip. I was supposed to sway. Don't all the trees that become the strongest go through that same grooming process? So again, that's the stuff swirling on the outside. All I have to remember is my soul is in the eye all the time. So with that, only way that can be maintained, that balance, is through the grace that the universe is extending me. Just like the bank, when you're late on a payment, there's a 4-day grace period, a 24-hour grace period, a period to get adjusted, to get your legs underneath you, to find your faith, whatever it takes to stay there. See, everything else is going to pass as the sun moves across the sky, all the shadows and the opinions. But at the end, the tree will still be there. The tree will still be there. And so just remember that grace, here it is. I'm going to read it verbatim because I don't want to mess it up. Grace is extended not to get us out of anything. Grace is extended to get us through everything.
Wow. Wow.
You see what I'm saying? They don't play with it.
Wow.
I was seeing it like that for the first time. I told you that way. I didn't want nobody to think I was taking
Mm.
credit for it. I just happened to be in the same room we all did when the universe said that out loud. That's what just happened. We just all happened to be in the room when the universe was talking out loud. See? So I'm just so excited. Thank y'all. I got poured into and didn't.
Well, before we volley it, pass the volley to one of these other beautiful men, I want to just acknowledge you, Doc. I want to thank you for being a special guest tonight on Real Men, Real Talk Live. And I want you to know that you're always welcome back.
Oh,
And there's also an opportunity, perhaps, if you would like to become a regular, we could talk about that with Grace offline. Because I would be honored to have you on Real Men, Real Talk Live, because you are a real man. And, you know, on occasion, I have people push back at me and ask me, what makes a man real? And of course, we always get into the whole sexual preference and things of that nature. But here's what makes a man real for me, and why I had a vision to launch this show with Grace. What makes a man real is a man that is connected to his heart, a man that feels safe enough to express his feelings, his emotions with authenticity and vulnerability. And that, my friend, at least the 2 times I've been with you, you have shared and you have demonstrated. So you're always welcome back on Real Men Real Talk. And
thank you for that.
Give it some thought if you'd like to become a regular.
I certainly
we'd love to have a conversation with you around that.
Okay.
So Kaimalu, since you're on the left of right underneath me on the bottom shelf, closing thoughts or words on tonight's topic.
Every moment of our life is an opportunity to define ourselves and who we are in relation to it. And that's all that life really is. It's just, who do I choose to be in relationship to this? It's not so much about the things that happen. It's always about what we do with it and who we choose to be in response to it. And so whether it's joy, trauma, I can choose who I am in that moment and what I do with it. And that is always a choice that we can make.
Beautiful. We get to make that choice, right?
That's right. That's right. And what a blessing.
What do you got, Avery?
Yeah, I think just something that I wanted to expand on what Kai said earlier, and something tied back to what Dr. Loren said earlier. And again, that's something that's personal with me, right? It's the victimhood. But something that Kai said was, why is this happening to me? Right? Why is this trauma happening to me? Versus, look, it's happened to me, and look how I came out from it. Look how stronger I am, how better I am, faster. And for my closing thoughts, it's more of just an appreciation for you 3 men to be back in this circle with you guys, to hear so much beautiful wisdom and just, sharing our thoughts, sharing our traumas, and just sharing our stories. I'm reminded that I've come such a long way from my own journey, and to know that I can be back in the space with my fellow brothers and listen to you guys and, have that, what do you call it? I guess, acknowledgement that, like, okay, I'm doing pretty good, because I've learned to turn my victimhood. I've learned to turn my, oh my God, everything's happening to me into I've learned so much, and because this happened to me, and I'm so grateful for it. And it's just been a beautiful journey. But anyway, I appreciate and love you guys, and glad I'm back here talking to all 3 of you guys.
Welcome home. We've missed you, Avery. But here's one thing that I knew. I never gave up on you.
Thank you.
I knew it wasn't a question of if, it was only a question of when. But I gave you the space with grace to find your way, to go to walk through your own journey of that season that impacted you.
Thank you.
Without even, we never talked about what it was you went through. I didn't need to know the details. To me, that's gossip. But what I was able to do was tap into what we call compassion. Compassion is a t-shirt in purple that I'm wearing underneath this white shirt tonight. See, I tell no lies today. I tell the truth. Choose compassion. And there's two types of compassion to embrace in life. Compassion for others and a compassion for self, and a journey that we may find ourselves in. And I'm in my own journey right now. I'm in a new season, a season of change, a season that in moments has a lot of what feels like trauma for me, what feels like pain, what feels like confusion, what feels like I'm not okay. And what I'm talking about is an unconscious coupling. Unfortunately, Mary has decided to move on in her life for now. She wants to go on this journey by herself. And this is all new. And it was interesting because Kaimalu and I had a conversation a little earlier today, and it was either him or Michael Evans, who may be watching us on replay tomorrow, that said to me, I think it was Michael Evans that said to me, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're up to doing a show tonight?" And my answer to him is why I'm here. Is because when we're in trauma, what feels like trauma, we can easily get paralyzed. We can easily avoid, go into isolation, go into the wounding of the trauma. But I've done enough work in my life to know that me showing up here tonight was for me. Because I needed to be here with my brothers. And I know this. I am not going to have a scar from this. I may be in trauma right now, but what I am is I'm in a state, a place of mourning, as well as a place of honoring those feelings, those emotions. Not always pretty, meaning there are moments where I know I can rise. There are moments where I can honor my feelings in grace. But one thing I will say is, through this new season that's very new, I have not raised my voice once. I have not threatened. I have not lost control. That is a true essence of grace. No matter what, I am not going to compromise my own soul. And through this moment of trauma, I will rise to the next level of greatness, because this here is just a season of growth. It's a season of lessons. It's a season of compassion. First and foremost, for myself. Secondly, for the season, the journey that Mary's in. You've heard me say this on probably 202 prior episodes. Simple, not easy. But I know this. I'm a strong man. I've been through a lot in my life. It doesn't define who I am today. What defines who I am is how I show up. And I showed up tonight because it's what I needed for me. And I will continue to honor that commitment to myself. I may have those moments where a friend reaches out and he may say, boy, you sound angry. And in that moment, I may feel angry. But what I've learned in my own healing journey going back to October of 2015 when I ended.
Okay. Hold on. Sorry. Crossing God or purpose is on the scene. Moving out into the middle of this intersection as I speak. In 3, 2, 1. Let me tell you something.
Tell me something.
Listen to everything that you were absolutely right. But you're contradicting yourself in here now.
Tell me why.
It's healing. You said, I'm not going to have a scar. That's what scars are. Proof, immediate proof of healing. Imagine if every other puncture healed. You wouldn't be here. You'd be infected. And so would your experience and the opportunity to live and grow through it.
All right.
I
accept that.
Say, I'm not going to have a scar and then remind us of healing. Healing has an ing on it because that's always something we're in the middle of. Don't call me now. Don't you know I'm sleeping? Sorry, I can't go. I'm working. Sorry, whatever. I'm eating. Every ing. So you're telling us, taking us back. When you start, and we have that obligation with each other. When we start contradicting our own truths, something in here is riding around parading like it is serving us. And the moment you know it, it must go. Because every second you leave it in there, you give it a chance to trick you into serving it. So I'm telling you, yeah, you think this was planned before you came on my show. This was planned before I even had a show. And here you are. So walk away with what you're supposed to get, which means healing. And you should be welcoming the scar, or else you're going to be looking at well, you just saw it. One of your own guests said, I have open wounds. She didn't say she was looking to keep them. Even she knew eventually I want to heal. Or how can I heal someone else? The healing should never end because every time you grow through it, you go through it. Now you show somebody through it. You don't get off any easier. The longer you live here, the harder it should be to want to get off easier. And we owe this to each other. Because when one wins, we all win. And if one loses, we all lose.
I want to thank you, Doc, for bringing that to my attention. You got to understand one thing, brother. I'm in the middle of it. So
I know the eye of the storm. Remember who you are, and you'll remember where you're at. If you forget who you are, everything will not make sense. And when something doesn't make sense to you, everything in you says, well, if it doesn't make sense to me, it ain't got shit to do with me. So all they got to do is confuse you, make you think it ain't about you. You're going to miss your own blessing, and now it's your own curse. Follow the clues and surround yourself with people that you are honored to have sitting in the front row seats of this journey. That's it. Right. So I have to run because I have to be up at 4 a.m.
Well, hey, Doc, we're gonna hold on 1 sec, Doc.
Sure.
You just can't abandon us as men.
I'm not, but
hold on, Doc.
It's a certain amount of time, and it's been a long one today, y'all.
Let me close out the show.
Okay.
Let's have 1 minute in the back studio just to acknowledge each other. We'll out of here.
I'm cool with that. I just
I know I dropped the bombshell on you right now, but this is my reality.
Yeah.
And my reality is that it's my time to step into this with grace and with gratitude and trusting that divine source has planned this all out.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the end result's going to look like. I don't need to know. I just get to embrace trust and faith. And with that, viewers, thank you so much for joining us this evening on another episode. What's the name of our show tonight, by the way? Well, it's called Real Men, Real Talk.